When my husband newly moved to the UK, somebody who has been in the UK for a longer period of time advised him that if he must do well, he shouldn't bring his family to the UK. Obviously, that person had his reasons for giving such advice, probably based on his experience or something like that. But my husband, being who he is, didn't even bother to ask for the reasons. He just said, oh, thank you for your advice, right? And he moved on. I've also heard of a case of a young man who lost out of a great opportunity because he listened to the advice of his auntie who has been in the UK for over 18 years. His auntie told him that there's a certain way that things are meant to be done. He did it that way and he lost out on a huge opportunity. There are instances like that of people who just move to the UK or move abroad, getting advice, different kinds of advice from older people, older generation of people who have moved abroad for a longer period of time. This newer generation have the way they approach things, which is slightly different from the way the older generation did their things. So that's why it's looking like there's an older generation of migrants versus a newer generation of migrants, because I happen to be in a space as well recently and they were having this argument. So I'll just point us to some things that I've observed that might be the reason why this is happening. First, sometimes you can hear somebody who has been in the UK for a longer time advising you or telling you stay away from credit cards, don't get a credit card because you run into huge debt and all of that. On the other hand, you see somebody who just moved to the UK is talking about getting a credit card. He's just saying, oh, credit card, he wants to build his credit score and things like that. The people who are telling you to stay away from credit cards because it might lead you into huge debts are not wrong. As a matter of fact, according to Money Charity, credit card debts average £2,476 per household and £1,311 per adult in February 2024. So people run into credit card debts. We're not disputing that fact. But at the same time, those also coming in and saying, oh, give us credit cards, want to build our credit scores are not wrong as well. It just depends on how you approach it. It depends on how the individual treats it. Getting a credit card helps you build a good credit score if you're a very disciplined person. As a matter of fact, if you want to get a mortgage and things like that, you really have to have a good credit score, right? So that's why you have to handle it with care. You have to be very, very careful the way you handle your credit cards. For us now, for instance, we obviously got credit cards when we moved to the UK. This helped us build our credit scores and we're able to get a mortgage and all of that. And now we don't buy anything that we don't need. We don't use our credit cards anyhow. We use it for our normal spendings, like what we buy as a family every month. We have never for once paid any interest on our credit card because we use it wisely. So if you're in the newer generation of people who are just moving to the UK, you have to be really disciplined so that you won't fall into huge debts, because people are falling into credit card debts as we have seen from the statistics. Okay, and that brings me to my second point, which is getting a mortgage and investing back at home. What I have observed that is the difference between these two generations is that the older generation of people focus more on investing back at home, but the newer set of people have learned from their mistakes or from their experiences and are now investing more in the country where they are. Some people who moved to the UK earlier, you hear them say things like, oh, I had to invest back at home. You see them buying properties, buying lands, investing back at home, and they keep renting abroad. You know, that's why you see somebody who has lived in the UK for a long time. You hear, oh, I've lived 15 years, I've lived 20 years in the UK, and they don't have a mortgage, but they have so many properties back at home. But somebody who just moved to the UK 2 years, 3 years, the person already bought a property in the UK, already got a mortgage, and you're like, how did you do it? So these are people that will give you advices like that, like you can't get a mortgage in the UK if you've not gotten your ILR, if you're not a citizen yet, if you've not lived in the UK for like more than 5 years and things like that. They give you such advices based on their own experience because they didn't even try, they didn't bother to try it out. They just assumed that I have to get my ILR in the UK, I have to be a citizen before I can get a mortgage, I have to invest back at home. You know, it is for some people. Remember, it is not everybody. But the newer generation of people are moving into the UK. They know that, oh, once I come into the UK, build a credit score, I have a good job, I can get a mortgage as soon as possible, and they are doing it, and these people are surprised. And personally, I believe that I should sort myself out where I am first before I think about investing back at home, because this is where I spend most of my time. I haven't even visited Nigeria since I moved to the UK, and there are lots of people like that. So why will I go back to Nigeria now and build a mansion there, and I won't be going there for some time? But then I forget to invest where I am, where I spend most of my time, where my children are schooling, you know, where I live for the most part of the year. Right? So I'm of the school of thought. I belong to this category of people who believe in investing or settling or sorting ourselves out where we are, compared to just going back home and investing first. Don't get me wrong, right? People should invest back. Like, if I have enough money, I'm going to go back and invest back at home. But I want to sort myself out first where I live. But some of this older generation of migrants believe in going back, investing, having so much properties, you know, boasting to their friends. Do you know how many lands I have back at home? Do you know how many houses I have, you know, back in my home country, and things like that? I, for one, know somebody who has built so many houses back in Africa. So many, but he's still renting a house in the UK. So he belongs to this other generation of people who believe in investing back at home, you know, doing so much to invest back at home, and they just do little or nothing to invest where they are. Everybody is right in wherever they believe in, right? This is what they believe in, and this is what is working for them. But I must also point out that some of this older generation of migrants are learning from the newer generation now, because they are saying that, oh, actually these things are possible. If I had known, these are the things that I should have done, because I've heard people talk like that. Okay, I learned from you, you inspired me. They're learning from the people that are just moving to the UK and doing things earlier than some of them. Now, it's okay if you have to invest back at home, if you're in this school of thought, because there are still younger generation of migrants who still believe in investing back at home first before even thinking of investing in the UK. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say is that these are some of the things that were pointed out, and from my observations, it makes it look like there's a slight difference between the older generation of people and the newer generation. And if you observed, okay, it is this sort of people that will tell you, oh, don't come to the UK. The UK is hard. You struggle, you pay your bills, you pay your rent, you do this, you do that. There are people who are always saying that because this is their experience as well. To them, they are not lying, but it is their reality. It is their experience. It's hard for them. And most of them move to London. You know, this hype about, oh, I live in London, I live in London. But the newer generation of people are coming in and they know that, oh, they're saying that London is quite expensive. Let's move away from London. That will help us save a bit more. That will help us achieve more things. They are moving away from the expensive cities, moving to other cities that are less expensive, you know, that can help them achieve all these things and live a quiet and comfortable life, right? So you see the difference. So this brings me to introducing the sponsor of today's video, LemFi. LemFi allows residents of the UK, Canada to send money to Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Benin, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda at zero fees. So if you are in Canada, you are in the UK, and you want to send money to Africa, LemFi is the app for you. They have good rates. You can ask around. I've been using it for a while now, and I can tell you that it's very easy to use. It's easy to navigate the app, and it's secured, and it's very, very free, right? So you can download the app with my referral link in the description box to get 15% cash back on your first transactions above £100, capped at £50. Alternatively, you can download the LemFi app directly from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and enter my code Tochi to benefit from this. So please download the LemFi app today and begin to send money to Africa for free, and be sure that the recipient will receive the money instantly. Again, if you're new in the UK or just moved to the UK recently, you might have gotten an advice from somebody who have been in the UK for a longer time. An advice like, don't get things on credit, okay? Always buy things outrightly. Remember, the way the system is designed, is very, very easy to go into huge debts buying things on credit. So some of them tell you don't buy things on credit, always buy things outrightly if you want to do well in the UK, so you don't get into huge debts and things like that. That might be a good advice if you look at it. Also, getting things on credit is not bad as well, right? So again, it depends on the individual involved. For me, what I ask myself most times if I want to buy something is, can I afford to buy something outrightly? Or can I afford to save to buy something outrightly? If I need it and if I can afford to buy it outrightly, why get it on credit? I just buy it. But if I cannot afford to buy it outrightly, I don't bother buying it most of the time, except I really need it, right? And I try to also get it interest free. So if I must get it on credit, then it has to be interest free, because that is good anyways. Whether I buy it outrightly or I pay for it over a period of time, it is still the same price or the same amount I'm paying for it, right? But if you're going to be paying interest or something, even though it appears to be good that you've gotten the best deal, you will obviously end up paying so much more for it, right? Sometimes you can't run away from it. It's the way the society or the system is designed. You might end up buying one or two things on credit, which is good. But I understand where these guys are coming from. Do not overdo it, because it is even going to be dealing so much with you. By the time you get a television on credit today, you get a phone on credit tomorrow, you get a chair, and you're paying the interest and paying everything monthly. By the time all your bills go out and then all the direct debits you have set out go out as well, you'll be left with nothing. Now, talking about things that are deceptive as well, things on sales can be very, very deceptive. Now, because they're on sales, you might be tempted to buy things that you don't need. Don't fall for that, okay? If you're going to be going to sales section of any store or to buy any products, let it be something that you need. Don't just go there because these things are on sales. You might end up spending so much buying things that you don't need. There are people, I've seen people who ended up even giving those things away because they really didn't need it. You know, at the time they bought it, they didn't need it, and after a while they still didn't need it. They just bought it because it was on sales. The truth is that things will always be on sales. That is what you should never forget. So whenever you're ready for something or you need something, then you can go for it, okay? Another thing that you hear some of these people who have been abroad for a longer period of time tell you is that you should avoid people at work because they are wicked and toxic. You should always be careful, stay on your own, you know, do your things, don't get close to anybody at work, you know, something like that. I don't know if you've gotten any advice like this. Please let us know in the comment section. Now guys, this is not a good advice. If you follow this advice, you might not go far in your workplace. Yes, obviously there are good people everywhere, there are bad people everywhere. There are good people in your workplace, there are bad people in your workplace, but you shouldn't follow the advice of just staying away completely or avoiding people completely at work. Because for instance, if you want to become a manager tomorrow in your workplace, who are the people you're going to be communicating with? Are they not the same people that you're avoiding, saying they are wicked and they are toxic? It's the same people you're going to be dealing with, you know, communicating with. So you have to have a good team spirit if you want to work, if you want to succeed or go further, you know, in your workplace. You have to learn to communicate with people, have a good relationship at work. Yes, you should be discerning. You should know where to draw the line. So some of these people are sharing and giving this advice based on their own experiences. It's possible they've not had good experiences at their workplaces, or they have perceived their workplaces to be in a certain kind of way, because people will tell you things based on the experience they have. If we sit down here today, there are two people sitting down here today, and you ask us the same question about the UK, what I say might be different from what the second person is saying based on our individual experiences and circumstances, right? So you should be different when you do something, and there's nobody that says, even if it doesn't work for anybody, that you can't be the first person to get it right. You are in their country, that's the fact. So you have to learn to work with people, you have to learn to coexist with your colleagues and just have a good working relationship, because you don't know all the opportunities that might come out of it. And if you have a good working relationship, they will even consider you for some positions. You can't really go far in your workplace without networking, without having good relationship with people, right? Try your best to associate with people as much as possible, but then also learn where to draw the line and know people to stay away from. Lastly, I would say that the major difference is basically because people now, there are information everywhere that you can access that can help you make better decisions. They are moving with a different mindset. And then you are even learning from the experiences of people that have been here for a longer period of time. So things they did and failed, you can easily avoid those things, okay? And things they did and succeeded, you can just come in and jump on such things. That's why it seems like some people right now are doing things a bit bit differently, or doing better than some people who have been in the UK for a longer period of time. The only difference is just time, and then there's now more information. So sometimes when you get advice from that, it might not be from a bad place, it might be from a good place, but they're advising you based on what they have. See, you cannot give what you don't have. So it's from their experiences, it's from what they think is best. That is what they are telling you to do. So it's not left for you to sieve out all the things that you don't want, ask your own questions, take the good advice and separate it from the bad ones, throw the bad ones away and run with the good ones if you must succeed. That is just how life works. So please, I want this to be very interactive. If you have more points, kindly share with us in the comment section. I also want to know your thoughts on this as well. We'll continue this conversation in the comment section. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.